Elias was a man who built things. For 15 years, he worked as a construction foreman. His job was to make sure that buildings stood tall, strong, and safe. He liked his job because it made sense. If you put in the hard work, you saw the results. Elias lived his whole life this way. He believed that a person only needed their own two hands to survive. He was a proud man, but not in a loud way. He did not show off. His pride was quiet. It was the kind of pride that made him wake up at 5 in the morning every single day without complaining. It was the kind of pride that made him pay his bills the exact day they arrived in the mail. Most importantly, it was the kind of pride that told him he must never, ever ask for help. In Elias' mind, asking for help was a sign of weakness. He believed that if you could not take care of your own problems, you were failing at life. Elias was a single father. He had a young daughter named Lily who was 8 years old. Lily was the center of his world. Everything Elias did, he did for her. He wanted her to have a good life, a safe home, and enough food to eat. He also wanted to teach her to be strong and independent, just like him. He showed her how to fix a broken chair, how to plant tomatoes in the small backyard, and how to save money in a little glass jar. He wanted her to know that they were a team, but also that he was the protector. He was the wall that kept the bad things out of their lives. For a long time, this way of living worked perfectly. Elias made good money. They lived in a nice, small house in a quiet neighborhood. He helped his neighbors sometimes, like fixing a broken fence or pulling a car out of the snow, but he never let them help him. If a neighbor offered him a plate of food, he would politely say no. If someone offered to watch Lily while he was working late, he would say he already had it handled. He liked to be the giver, but he absolutely hated being the receiver. Then one Tuesday afternoon, everything changed. It was raining and the construction site was slippery. Elias was checking a frame on the second floor of a new house. He stepped on a wet board, lost his balance, and fell backward. He landed hard on his lower back. The pain was instant and blinding. His workers rushed over and an ambulance was called. At the hospital, the doctor looked at the x-rays and gave Elias the bad news. His back was badly injured. It was not permanent, but it was serious. The doctor told him he could not do any heavy lifting, standing for long periods, or construction work for at least 6 months. If he tried to work before he was fully healed, he could break his back forever. Elias went home that night walking slowly, his body aching and his mind racing. He told himself it would be fine. He had some savings in the bank. He would just rest for a few months, live carefully, and go back to work as soon as possible. He did not tell Lily how bad it was. He just told her he was taking a long vacation to spend more time with her. For the first month, things were okay. They paid the rent, bought groceries, and paid the electricity bill, but living without a weekly paycheck is like trying to keep water in a bucket with a hole at the bottom. The money drained away much faster than Elias expected. By the 3rd month, the savings account was almost empty. Elias started to panic, but he kept it hidden inside. He started to buy cheaper food. Then he started buying less food. Soon, he had to make a choice between paying the heating bill to keep the house warm for Lily or buying enough groceries for the week. He chose to keep the house warm. To make sure Lily had enough to eat, Elias started skipping meals. When dinner time came, he would cook a normal plate of food for Lily. For himself, he would only put a few bites on his plate. If Lily asked why he was not eating, he would smile and say he already ate a big lunch while she was at school, or that his stomach was upset. He became very good at lying to protect her. He was always hungry. He felt tired all the time. His clothes started to fit loosely. There were government programs that could help him. His old boss called him and told him how to apply for disability money or food assistance. The boss explained that this money was for people exactly in his situation, but Elias refused. He told his boss he did not need it. In his mind, taking government money or free food was the ultimate failure. He felt that if he took that money, he was admitting he could not provide for his own child. He viewed it as charity, and his pride told him that charity was an insult. He decided he would just push through. He would survive on nothing if he had to. He thought this was what a strong father did. He thought his suffering was a noble thing. By the 5th month, the situation was very bad. There was almost nothing left in the kitchen cabinets, just some dry pasta, half a bag of rice, and water. The next day was Saturday. Elias did not know what he was going to feed Lily for the weekend. He went to sleep that Friday night feeling a deep, dark weight on his chest. For the first time in his life, he felt truly helpless. When morning came, Elias woke up early. He walked to the kitchen and looked at the empty shelves. He felt a lump in his throat. He opened the front door to check the mail, hoping maybe his tax refund had arrived early. There was no mail, but there was something else. Sitting on the front porch was a large, heavy cardboard box. Elias looked at it confused. He stepped outside and looked up and down the street. The street was quiet. No cars were driving away. No neighbors were walking outside. He looked down at the box. It was full to the top. Inside the box, there were high-quality groceries. There were fresh green apples, oranges, a large loaf of soft bread, a whole roasted chicken, a bag of potatoes, fresh vegetables, 2 cartons of milk, eggs, and even a small box of chocolate cookies. Elias stood there staring at the food. Any other person in his situation would have felt happy. They would have cried tears of joy. They would have thanked God for the good luck. But Elias did not feel happy. He felt a sudden hot flash of anger. His face turned red. His heart started beating fast. He felt deeply insulted. Who did this? Who was watching him? Who knew that he had no money? Did he look so poor and weak that his neighbors were leaving charity on his doorstep like he was a stray dog? All his pride flared up at once. He felt exposed. He had tried so hard to hide his struggle from the world, and this box was proof that he had failed. Someone out there felt sorry for him. To Elias, pity was the worst feeling in the world. He decided right then that he would not accept it. He would not let anyone look down on him. He brought the box inside, but he did not unpack it. He left it sitting by the door. He was going to find out who left it, and he was going to give it back. He would tell them to mind their own business. He started looking closely at the items in the box for a clue. Most of the things were normal, but then he noticed the milk. It was a very specific, expensive brand of oat milk. Elias remembered something. A few weeks ago, he was talking over the fence to the young couple who lived 3 houses down the street. Their names were Mark and Sarah. He remembered Sarah complaining playfully that the local store was always running out of her favorite oat milk, and she mentioned this exact brand name. It was a small clue, but it was enough. Elias felt sure it was them. They were a young, nice couple who both had good office jobs. They probably looked out of their window, saw him walking slowly with his hurt back, and decided to do a good deed to feel better about themselves. Elias picked up the heavy box. His back screamed in pain, but he ignored it. He was too angry to care about the pain. He walked out of his house and marched down the sidewalk toward Mark and Sarah's house. He reached their door and knocked hard. He waited. A minute later, Mark opened the door. Mark looked surprised to see Elias standing there holding a massive box of groceries. Sarah walked up behind Mark, holding a coffee mug. Before they could say good morning, Elias spoke. His voice was hard and cold. "I found this on my porch," Elias said, pushing the box slightly toward them. "I know it was you. I saw the milk. I brought it back." Mark and Sarah looked at each other, confused. Then Mark looked back at Elias with a gentle expression. "Yes, Elias, we left it there early this morning. We didn't want to wake you up." "I don't want it," Elias said quickly. "I don't need your charity. I take care of my own family. I don't know what you think you saw or why you think I need your pity, but you are wrong. Take it back." He set the box down on their welcome mat and turned around to walk away. "Elias, wait," Sarah said. Her voice was not angry, it was soft and kind. "Please, just wait a second. This isn't charity, and it definitely isn't pity." Elias stopped and looked back at her. His jaw was tight. "Then what is it? Because people don't just leave $100 worth of food on a man's porch for no reason." Mark stepped outside and stood near the box. "Do you remember last summer, Elias?" Elias frowned. "What about last summer?" "Last summer, Sarah and I had just moved in," Mark explained. "We had spent all our savings buying this house. We had zero money left in our bank accounts, not a single dollar. Then that massive rainstorm hit in July. Our roof started leaking in 3 different places. Water was pouring into our living room." Elias remembered. He had seen Mark on the roof trying to put a plastic sheet over the holes while it was raining. "We called a roofing company," Sarah continued. "They told us it would cost $2,000 just to patch it. We didn't have the money. We were sitting in our living room crying, using buckets to catch the water. We thought our new house was ruined. Mark looked Elias right in the eyes. Then you walked over. You saw me struggling. You didn't ask if we needed help. You just went to your garage, brought your ladder, your tools, and your own materials. You spent your entire Saturday and Sunday up on our roof in the hot sun. You fixed the whole thing. It was just some loose shingles, Elias muttered, looking down. It was no big deal. I know how to do it. It was a huge deal to us, Mark said. When you finished, I asked you how much we owed you. Do you remember what you said? Elias stayed quiet. You said that neighbors take care of neighbors, Mark said. You refused to take our money. You saved us, Elias. We never forgot that. We promised ourselves that when we got back on our feet, we would find a way to thank you properly. Sarah smiled gently. We heard about your back injury from the other neighbors. We know you haven't been able to work. We didn't buy this food because we pity you. We bought it because we respect you. We bought it because you are our friend and we owe you. It is just our way of saying thank you. It's a return favor, that's all. Elias stood frozen on the sidewalk. All the anger that had been burning inside him suddenly disappeared. It vanished completely, leaving him feeling hollow and then very full. He looked at the young couple. They were not looking down on him. There was no pity in their eyes. There was only gratitude and care. For the first time, Elias saw his own pride for what it really was. It was not a shield protecting him and his daughter. It was a cage. He had built a wall around himself so thick that he was not letting the bad things in, but he was also not letting the good things in. He realized that by refusing to let anyone help him, he was denying people the chance to be kind. He had been happy to help Mark and Sarah when they were down because it made him feel useful and good. But he had been entirely unwilling to let them feel that same joy by helping him. He realized that true strength is not just about carrying heavy things alone. Sometimes, true strength is having the courage to admit that you are tired. True strength is trusting the people around you enough to let them carry the weight for a little while. Elias felt a tightness in his throat, but this time it was not from anger. His eyes filled with tears. He quickly wiped his face with the back of his hand, but he did not hide his emotions. I've been skipping meals, Elias said. His voice broke. It was the first time he had admitted his struggle out loud to anyone. I didn't know what I was going to feed Lily tonight. I was so scared. Sarah stepped forward and put a hand on his shoulder. You don't have to be scared. We are here. The whole street knows what kind of man you are. You don't have to do it all by yourself. Elias looked at the box on the ground. Then he looked at Mark. Thank you, Elias whispered. The words felt strange in his mouth, but they also felt incredibly good. They felt like a heavy rock being lifted off his chest. Thank you both so much. You are welcome, Elias, Mark said, smiling. Now take that food home. Let Lily have some of those cookies. Elias bent down and picked the box up again. This time it did not feel heavy. It felt light. He walked back to his house. The morning air felt fresh. He opened his front door and carried the box straight into the kitchen. He placed it on the counter and began to unpack it. He put the milk in the fridge, the bread in the cabinet, and the fruit in a bowl on the table. Lily woke up a few minutes later and walked into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes. She stopped and stared at the counter. Her eyes grew wide. Wow, she said, running over. Where did all this come from? Elias looked at his daughter. He smiled, a real, genuine smile. It came from our friends, Elias said, from our neighbors. He pulled out a pan and started cooking the eggs and toasting the bread. He poured 2 large glasses of milk. When the food was ready, he set a plate in front of Lily, and then he set a full, completely loaded plate in front of himself. He sat down across from his daughter. They ate together. The food tasted better than anything he had eaten in months. Elias finally felt full. His stomach was full of food, but his heart was full of something much more important. He finally understood that he did not have to stand alone to be strong. He was surrounded by a community, and for the first time in his life, he allowed himself to be a part of it.